Okay.
Welcome to the Business and Economic Forum on Focus on Liberia today, Saturday, the last day of the month, November. And we're going to be discussing a mobile payment system. My guest, my regular panelist, Mr. Dehpue. Mr. Zuo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ja.
Thank you. And Mr. William King. William, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. I'm happy to be here for another edition. Once again, excitement in the air, just learning, growing, and improving and sharing ideas to the betterment of our great Liberia country.
Great. And last but not least, I want to welcome Dr. Lionel for the first time to the Economic and Business Forum. Dr. Bernard, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja. It's good to be here, and thanks for the invitation. It's an honor.
Thank you. And Dr. Lionel Bernard, that B-mail. He's the Director of Information Technology at the DC Metro Council of Government, and he will tell you in a minute what that all means. So let me pass it on to Mr. William King, who knows a little bit more about Dr. Bernard, to introduce our first-time guest.
Okay, thank you, everyone. This is a good thing for me to introduce this guy, Dr. Lionel Bernard. If you know me, you know my name, and you've been on Facebook. Most people know that this is the eldest of all of our cousins. This is the first cousin. All my, like they say in Liberia, this guy, he's from my mom's side. He's my mom, brother, oldest son. So it's an honor and privilege to be associated with this guy. Very smart, very hardworking. To this date, I believe he has done about three books, and he's published some other ones. One of them being Bag of Lies. It's a fictional book, very good. Check it out. And then there's Broadband Coming. This guy wrote a book Broadband Coming, and this is a book about, the telecommunication and internet in Liberia. He had some experience about it, and I just thought about it, and the mobile payment, how the internet and mobile payment, they're related. And so I said, you know what, let me call this guy on. This is someone that has substance. So he's written some books. He's a PhD, and he's working the U.S. And I would like for Lionel, before we introduce the topic, I think because of the way things are flowing, just to get into, you introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and about the work you do in the U.S. and also in Liberia.
Well, first I want to thank Tommy for introducing me so eloquently. Tommy and I go way, way back. We're relatives, and I actually used to babysit Tommy when he was a kid, and he was full of energy. He still is now. Very smart kid. He still is now. I'm very proud of him as his oldest cousin, as he said. And I really appreciate the fact that he thought about me when this program was being planned, and thought about my experience in the mobile money sector, as well as the telecommunications sector, to which topics I will be speaking on later on. But a bit about myself, for the viewers that don't know me, my name is Lionel Bernard. I've been in the telecom and IT sector for many, many years. I'm not going to tell everybody my age. And over that time period, as Tommy said, one of my passions is writing. So I've written about 3 books. One is a fiction novel set in Liberia, and another is a nonfiction book specifically about some ventures me and my business partners have undertaken in Liberia, specifically starting different telecommunication businesses as well as ICT businesses in the area. I've got a lot of experience in the telecom sector in Liberia. I'm very familiar with that sector. Also, the mobile money sector is an area that I'm currently making leeway into, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But a bit about me, married for about 20 years. We've got about 4 sons, my wife and I. She's also Liberian. And, I'm happy to to participate in improving our country. We love this country very much, and we all want to see it succeed. We all want to see the pro-poor agenda come to reality. And, I really thank Mr. Ja for these kinds of programs where we can discuss how we can make Liberia better.
Thank you, Dr. Bernard. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. Our topic today is our mobile payment system in Liberia. But before we can even start our discussion, we want to discuss just our water cooler moment. There is a report came out. A report came out that most hard-working immigrant groups in America, Ghana tops the list with a score of 75.4%. Bulgaria came second, and guess what? Liberia has climbed to third place with the score of 73.9%. It is so Liberian immigrants in the United States are ranked the third hard-working immigrant population in the state. I want us to start with that to get your perspective on this breaking news, on this development. What does it mean for us? What does it mean for Liberians here in the United States and also Liberians back home? And how do you look at this information? Let me start with our man Dehpue.
Thank you very much. I think this is a welcoming news. For me, it's good. It means that we are active participants in the American economy. And that means there's a better benefit to our people in terms of income and the development of the family that live in the United States. And I think what is very much important is a positive development for Liberia. Despite the challenges in home country, in homeland Liberia, when the diaspora engagement is become a serious priority for all the African government, it's about time the Liberian government take advantage of such a good news to say how best can we cement the relationship between Liberians that are working in the United States and those that are working in Liberia. On the other side, in terms of the economic discussion of this technical report, it's good. I said Liberians are doing well, but one thing that there is that working hard is one thing. What are some of the opportunities there? What's the income bracket that the Liberians that are hardworking, what income level do they fall in? And you will see that the 2019 report on American income, you realize that the Black have the least median income, $44,000 annually, followed by the Hispanic group that are making $57,000 median income annually. And the Caucasians are around 70,000, but the Asians are making around 87,000 median income. So it is good, very hardworking, and show that indeed we are doing well. But what's the income level, income bracket that we fall in? So it's a good beginning for us to start at that level, meaning that active participation. As people look at their income, they will see how best to improve it, and it will be a better development for Liberians that are living here. I will also take this report as also a very important part of it to also look at, and if it's important, I want to also look at what are the educational level, the educational attainment among the Liberians that are actually leading them to work. Is it because of the skill level? Because one thing that there is that if your skill level is high, people increase your income and therefore you work less hours than working more hours. So I would think that are we going to be working smarter than to work harder? So these are some of the opportunities that we need to take advantage of now as the reports come, or we can look at the detail and do some analysis and advise our citizens on how best to improve on it. Very good.
So interesting perspective. Dr. Bernard?
Yes, thank you, Mr. John. Well, the news that Liberians are the third hardest working people in the U.S. can be interpreted in a positive way as well as in a negative way. I'll start with the positive, which relates to the concept that you should speak good news first. So in terms of positive implications of this news, I would say that it means that Liberians are, they're not engaged in malicious activities. They're working hard, they're earning income, and they're able to support their relatives and family and other family members back home through remittances. As you'll note from the World Bank report that comes out annually, describing the magnitude of volume of remittances that are sent back home, as well as remittances that are leaving the country between 2010 and just last year. Liberia was averaging $400 million in remittances being sent back home. So that's sort of, the hard work that Liberians are doing here in the U.S., as well as in the diaspora, the worldwide, is translating into income being sent back home to support family members. The other positive implication in this news is that, a lot of Liberians are essentially contributing to the economic development of the U.S. Now, as far as negative news, there was a study. I used to work at the Congressional Budget Office, and there was a study that was published every few years about upward mobility. And what that means is that the more educated you are, the higher your income. That translates into a higher income, as well as your improvement in your lifestyle. So, for example, like Mr. Zua said, that this information is not complete without knowing exactly what the income level is of these Liberians that are working hard. The information is not complete unless you know exactly what the educational level is of these Liberians that are working hard. Now, if you dug deeper and you found out that the income level of these Liberians is sort of all over the place. There are some high income levels, there are mid income levels, as well as there's some middle class as well as low income Liberians in this that are aggregated into these numbers. That tells us that we're third as far as hardest working. It says that Liberians are all over the place, and that means that we're some of us are upward mobile, and some of us are on the poverty level living in the U.S. And that's pretty normal. If you look across all different nationalities and all different races within the U.S., you'll find that you've got every there's a portion of every group that's in specific income level. And what that translates also, from a negative perspective, is that Liberians may be just overworking too hard. I don't know, but this leaves a lot of room for interpretation. But from my perspective, I would say that it's good news that Liberians are working hard and earning income, but it also may be bad news if we're just working in a low income level and not have some opportunities for upward mobility to education and whatnot.
I was excited about this news, but it looked like you guys are putting sand in my gari. Let me let me listen to you, William. Don't feel sorry for me. Give me your perspective.
Oh, I think this is good. I think this is a testimony. And one of the things about this is that with this kind of a hardworking news and employability of the Liberian person, the idea here is as the Liberians in the diaspora and as our fellow Liberians back home, how can we engage the diaspora within a structured way to where we can optimize and take advantage of the flow of money and the hard work and the employment that's going on? Because in terms of just private sector employment, the Liberia biggest employed workforce is outside the country, consistently 40 hours a week.
All right. So one thing I was looking at when I saw the report is we come from Liberia. Okay, so whatever we do abroad that is positive reflects on where we come from. Is this hard work? Is that something that we learn from home and putting it into practice, or is this same hard work, can it be felt at home in Liberia, or because we came here we got a culture rated, that's why we are working? I'm not looking for the reason, but I just want to see how it correlates with our work ethics back home.
Starting me? Okay. I think this is welcoming. Yeah, let's take we can look at it from two perspectives. in a way that prior to the Civil War, you realize Liberians are very hardworking people and people who were already earning income, and not many Liberians take delight in traveling or to go abroad because they were very comfortably living and working and earning income. And coming abroad as a diaspora or refugee, most of people are refugees, they also, to integrate into the system, the best thing to do was to accept whatever wage level to actually get integrated. And now many Liberians are getting used to working hard in the United States after the short time of a resettlement period. And those who also came as immigrant direct and get absorbed into the system is also helping. But one good thing about Liberians living abroad is that they have been of major source of income, major sources of income for their family and the country as a whole. The remittances, as Dr. Bernard said, is very high remittances from abroad and going to Liberians. But economically speaking, it has its own negative effect. You know, the first thing that there is that in terms of the income effect analysis, you realize that when an individual happens to look at the earnings of his wages every time they increase, they either help him to say, okay, I'm going to put in more time to work, or I'm going to, since if I'm making $10 this month, and for eight hours, it means $80 a day, and when the wage rate increase to $40 an hour or $20 an hour, it brings in more income. So the labor or the worker will have to decide whether he put in more hour or less hour, because in real income, his income increased. So will that be an incentive for him to work more, or he may decide, no, since I have enough money now, I will not work more hours. Now that's the kind of scenario that is in Liberia. Liberians at home now, they have actually the remittances are also becoming a disincentive for production in Liberia. That is, family member will say, at the end of the day, if you go to work in Monrovia or in Liberia, anywhere in Liberia, you'll be earning more like $100 and monthly, or $250 monthly. Then all of a sudden the person think, but my uncle or my sister will be sending me $150 this month for food. Then what's the essence of me going to work? Because if I pay my way and transport myself to go to work every day, I earn $100 or $150. Without me working, a relative of mine is sending me $150. So that is how began this incentive for production. That's one of the things where Liberians now need to think and say, well, how do we translate our remittances into real production or saving opportunity or investment opportunity for our people? And I've discussed this thing with many Liberian community.
They're not going to like you. They're not going to like you with this now.
Yes, they are not going to like me because it's economically, I'm talking about productivity. So why you need to be doing that? So the transfer payment can be translated into real investment opportunity. Say, look, I am going to allow you to do a business. You're going to be in a store as an employee of the store, at least a store in Pinsway, and you will be in the store and you'll be paid $100 a month. Instead of me sending you $100 a month, we can now, as diaspora like Bernard say, look, we'll be investing in you instead of you just receiving free money. So that's the way that you will cultivate the work dignity in the Liberians at home to see how
that's a whole new topic on. For now, William, let me let you conclude on this report. Anybody looking at working this hard will say, "Wow! If you get to these people's country, I know they are breaking rocks."
Yeah, we are. I mean, we are definitely a very peculiar people, in the sense that, we are hard workers. And then when we look at our overall economy, it doesn't reflect that. And one of the things my dad and some people always tell me to say, you're working harder to make another country better. Why not your own? So what to do, what to say, that's the things of life. As you mentioned, concluding with the water cooling, I really want to get into this topic thing about mobile payment. Okay, mobile payment is a very interesting dynamic when you really look at it. and it may seem something trivial that we use, but this is amazing what is going on in this area. And so with that thing, I was like, you know what, we need to really talk about this. So the main question, or the main thing I want us to maybe look at today is, can Liberia leapfrog most of its cash payment issues if we utilize a mobile payment system? Are there any investment dollars available for Liberians, and from who? And you're like, well, why did this topic, or what happened that kind of led me to really speak about this, or for us to be engaged about this? And when I was just looking at this thing, this is a market that people don't really talk about, but there's so much going on in it. Heavy hitters.
Let me come in a minute and bring in our viewers watching us via Facebook Live. We want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. Our discussion today is the mobile payment system. My guest, we have our regular panelist, Mr. Dehpue. He's here with us, Mr. William King, and we are welcoming for the first time Dr. Lionel, and we're going to be discussing mobile payment system. During this time, we're going to, as William said, can we leapfrog? Leapfrog meaning we already behind, right? So instead of going through the same steps other countries have gone through to get to that point, we want to jump ahead of them. Can we do that? What in fact is a mobile payment system? Globally, what's going on when we say mobile payment, mobile banking? What is that? And what is that mobile system? And where else has that been practiced? What role telecommunication companies are playing in that arena, both in Liberia and elsewhere? So this is what we're going to be discussing. Invite a friend, share the video, and let's take part. Later in the broadcast, we're going to bring you in to post your questions and comments, and we're going to discuss that. Back to you, William, to drive this discussion.
Thank you. And to just continue along that line, I want to be clear. This is the Focus on Liberia Economic and Business Forum. Once again, just a disclaimer, we're not encouraging, or we're not telling anyone to go and invest in anywhere. We strongly recommend that you seek your investment advice from a professional financial advisor. So we're not encouraging or promoting anything like that, whether you want to invest in Liberia or anywhere in the world, or in any kind of mobile payment system. We're not endorsing anything, nor are we representing ourselves as being professional licensed financial analysts. These are just opinions of individuals who have a passion and love for Liberia, and looking at the various business and economic opportunities that are out there and how they may translate to our wonderful country. With that being said, at the rudimentary level, news in Liberia right now is cash, currency, our cash, that there seems to be a shortage of cash. And even some of the solutions that are presented in terms of printing money, we know that the folks in Liberia and everywhere, they're not comfortable with that being done at the moment. And when we look at things globally, for example, in the US, you can go a week, you can go 2 weeks and not have to even go to the ATM, or not even have $1 in your wallet. You're just using your card, you're swiping your card, or you have your phone with you where you're paying for items on your phone and so forth. And something that enables that is the internet that enables that, and also the payment system that we've grown quite comfortable with in the US. And when you look globally, we just looking at Kenya, for example, with the introduction of the M-Pesa system, and the telecommunication company Safari, which owns that. There just seems to be a huge amount of transactions that are taking place over the mobile payment system. And the question is, for us in Liberia, is that something that can work? So let me read this for you real quick. Kenya leads the world in mobile money today. So far, M-Pesa has spread to Afghanistan, Tanzania, Zanzibar, Romania, and India, but it's still most successful in Kenya. As CMO Safari.com, Rita Okundi helped grow M-Pesa into the world's leading mobile money. Data shows that 48% of Kenya GDP is processed over at M-Pesa. That's about 3.6 trillion Kenyan shillings or 29 billion euros. 93% the proportion of Kenyans with access to mobile payment. So Kenyan population estimated at 50 million, about 45 million have access to mobile payments. There's about 120,000 M-Pesa agents across Kenya. Now we look at in terms of who are some of the major players globally. We stepped away from Kenya and just at a bird's eye view. You see in China, this might shock some folks, but Alibaba and Tencent. Now, Tencent is interesting because a lot of our phones in Africa, Tencent has a lot of smartphones, and they're the major players. Now, in India, it changes. Google Pay is actually the top person over there, followed by a local one that's called Paytm. Very, very, very interesting things going on. And in India, this is what the Wall Street Journal wrote an article. This is what it had to say. India, Google Pay offers real-time payment without the use of credit or debit cards. The catalyst for mobile payment growth. This is 2016, when the Indian government nullified the largest denomination cash notes in circulation to curb corruption. Long lines at ATM and different inconveniences drove the people to start downloading mobile wallets like Paytm and Google Pay, and they learned more and got comfortable. Tencent and Paytm are backed by Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, SoftBank Group, who's launching a $100 billion future fund, and Alibaba. So those are some of the things that are happening in the bigger mobile payment world. And so that has to beg the question. In Liberia right now, we know that it's used for tax, to encourage people to pay the taxes, and also for salary. And so with all these things going on, Google and Facebook is getting into this, WhatsApp is getting into this, and it's becoming pretty relevant and very important and crucial. WhatsApp, almost a lot of Liberians use WhatsApp. A lot of Liberians have Facebook. And so these guys are moving and coming into this territory. They're going after the bigger players. Visa is one of the biggest players in there, with a few others that process these payments behind the scene. So a lot of things going on, a lot of things brewing. And so the question is, hey, why is it when I go to Liberia, I have to, go to a bank, I have to worry about the cash, I have to, just all of this stuff. Why is it not seamless in my beloved country? And so
William,
yeah.
Before you move ahead, mobile payment.
Yeah.
What is that, and what's the advantage? Why is that needed? And any of you can come in, so that's just to lay the foundation for our viewers. What is mobile payment? Is it something on your cell phone, on your tablet, on your computer? Where do we need to do that? What is the advantage?
Oh, okay. So what is a mobile payment? Well, it's just the use of your mobile phone in order to transfer funds between banks or accounts, deposit or withdraw funds, or pay your bills. The term is also used in bigger terms for e-commerce. It can refer to your mobile device, cell phone, you're using it to go buy something, whether you go into the store, you go there and you use your phone to tap or to pay. So that is what we consider mobile payment. You can also register your mobile money operator and offer money services, mainly registration, but it's a cash in, cash out system. You're just paying using your mobile phone.
Okay. Dehpue, you were last in Liberia. It looked like we're doing that already.
Yes, thank you. I think the good thing about it is that this is part of the Central Bank of Liberia Inclusive Financial Services Scheme that actually is part of their strategy, the banking strategy since 2017. And Central Bank licensed 2 mobile operators provided by Lone Star, MTN Lone Star, and also what we call today Orange or Cellcom technology. And according to the central bank report, one of the major things that there is at the beginning of the process, there were less than just 100,000 people doing mobile banking with a main banking system. But when the mobile money service started, in a year period, I think there was about 845,000 customers that actually were subscribed and became the users, meaning almost everyone having mobile telephone were able to use a mobile money to transfer from one city to another to relative. And it is now an easier way. But one of the things that is very much important that is good for us to mention here is that in terms of the financial inclusion services across the country, the mobile money transfer booths, became the major sources of income and employment for young people and created opportunity. But from what I'm looking at right now, when William mentioned the cash issue of leaving the cash economy to go digital economy, the introduction will be very much important. It's still Liberia still have some hitches, because the first thing is that there should be what we call internet, system where there is a bank payment system for the country. If you have a system where someone who having mobile money is also having a bank account and is realistically clear that he can get access to cash or do his payment on the phone compared to going to a bank, then that means the main banking, the commercial banks need to now go into our online banking system where customer will now use a digital system to do purchases and carry on transactions. And I think that modernization is what the government of Liberia is doing now with some of the commercial banks. You see, EcoBank is doing that. I'm a customer. So UBA, most of these banks are doing that. They can transfer, you do purchases, they give you Visa card, and you do your purchases online. And I think it's a very good thing. And government need to now go into that process to make it very much relevant for people to have less access to cash, that they can have confidence in the system that I can go to a Fuller shop and use my mobile money. Of late, that's what they do.
What do you need?
And just do the payment for the goods right in the shop. You
Want
just
to sit down with daddy?
You don't need to come and say you're gonna go online, or once you are provided a mobile account, you can do your transaction, and which I think is good for the country.
So Lionel, let's look at the technical. What is needed for that technically?
You mean as far as setting up mobile money?
Yeah.
Well, the mobile money infrastructure, or mobile money is a system, a financial system that runs on top of the cellular infrastructure in the country. So in Liberia, for example, as Mr. Zua said, Lone Star and Cellcom are the primary internet service provider, or the primary cell phone carriers in the country. So in order to connect to the internet, to engage in any sort of mobile money transactions, you have to be a subscriber to one of those cellular carriers. So that's sort of what's required to have mobile money operational in the country. Now, mobile money, cell phone services were introduced in Liberia as far back as 2001. At the time, Liberia was primarily a physical phone, only had a physical phone infrastructure in the country, and we only had about 40,000 phone people who had phone access to phones throughout Liberia. These are called fixed phone lines. Now, fast forward, once cellular services were introduced around 2001, primarily by Lone Star. Fast forward this year, we now have, or as of this year, we now have close to 3 million, over 3 million cell phone subscribers in Liberia. And all of those subscribers have access to mobile money services in the country. Orange has its own brand of mobile money services that it provides, as well as Lone Star service, which is called Mo Money, and one is called Small Money, I believe. Now, all of these, once you subscribe to Lone Star in Liberia, you automatically get a mobile money account. But the issue is, do customers, are you actually using that account actively to conduct transactions? Now, Mr. Zul mentioned earlier that central bank is it's the regulator for mobile money in Liberia. Unlike with cellular services, whereby LTA, Liberia Telecommunications Authority, is the regulator. Well, mobile money, because it's a financial service that's being provided to customers. The central bank is the regulator, not the telecom authority in Liberia. So that's a distinction that's important to understand. The other thing is that mobile money services sometimes may require the need of an agent to create an account, as well as to facilitate certain transactions in Liberia. Now, some other statistics I would like to mention is that in 2016, mobile money services were introduced in Liberia by Lone Star. And since then, as of 2018 or early 2019, we currently have only about 350,000 active mobile money users in Liberia. And active means that users who've actually used mobile money over the last 90 days. And all of these users are using either Lone Star or Cellcom. Now, you might be wondering, how come we have 3 million cell phone users, but we only have 300,000 mobile money users in the country? And there's several reasons for that. The first is that the acceptance of mobile money and the need for it was not apparent until recently, given the economic issues that Liberia is currently having, as far as having an exchange rate that's increasing significantly versus the U.S. dollar. It's having some economic stagnation issues and some recessionary issues in the country. So because of that, money is becoming less and less portable, as William said earlier, and hence the need for mobile money, which makes money more portable because it converts it into a digital currency that you can use, that you can easily retain in a cell phone instead of having physical cash that's not secure and that's not portable. So mobile money, in terms of the future of mobile money in Liberia, is expected to grow significantly, mainly because of the economic situation in the country. The government is now pushing forward policies that are going to require all government employees to have a mobile money account to receive salaries. They're requiring that all commercial businesses that do business with the government be able to receive as well as send payments via mobile money. So mobile money historically has not been very well adapted in Liberia, but going forward, it is going to be the norm. So we expect the growth to increase significantly throughout the country. And one thing I also like to mention finally is that right now, Africa, sub-Saharan Africa accounts for almost 50% of the mobile money accounts in the entire world, as well as the number of the mobile money total transactions, which is in excess of $25 billion annually. So sub-Saharan Africa is experiencing higher growth in mobile money usage compared to other places in the world, and much more broader as well.
Okay. So now, Dehpue, what is required, or any one of you, what is required do you need a bank account to open this? Already there's a question from Swedish Shop. He's asking, how can that impact that many mobile money? How can that impact Liberia when our banks are low on funds? So how this whole mobile money, do I have to go to the bank, deposit the money like I use my ATM card here, or how does that work? And how does that relate to when the bank doesn't have physical cash?
Thank you very much. Quite interestingly, that's a new way of transaction, new way of easy access to cash, is time reduction in time in terms of transaction. One thing the only thing you need to do with the mobile money is to make sure that you have a mobile SIM card in your number. You go to the company. If you register with Orange, you go to Orange, and they will activate that on your phone. and with your picture and your telephone number, everything there in the system, and you go to Lone Star, you do the same thing. Once you have your cash and you deposit it with them, and that cash is on the phone, you can transfer that to anyone who having a goods to sell. You just ask the person for the telephone number and say, this is 10,000 Liberian dollar. You just go straight on your phone and say, customer, you put a number, you put a name, put a telephone number, the amount, and you just transfer it automatically. It just hit the person's account. You don't have to go to the bank. And I'll tell you, the last time before, I discussed this thing with some of the commercial bank managers, because to withdraw cash from commercial bank, it was getting tougher and harder than that of even still transferring money on the mobile money. So most of the international NGO that were there, when they're having a workshop or seminar, they prefer paying the participant through mobile money. Once they hit the money into the system, automatically everyone receives their allowance or stipend or whatever assistance they want to give them. It's more easier, it's faster. You don't have to go and register and go to the bank and write a check or to wait online to withdraw. You can use that to transfer it to people, to your family member, to friends at any time. And I think with that digital, system, we can now see how best to integrate it and make sure that as long as government is paying these workers through mobile money, international NGO doing that through mobile money, you can do the same thing with private sector making all the payments of salary and other things in mobile money. And now that will bring the inclusion. And one of the things that from the monetary perspective is that people are now having fear that why our money is not in the banking system. That's another way. With the crisis that we're experiencing right now, it's about time now that Liberian government need to promote that. The central bank need to see how best to expand it. They have reported on local.
So, Mr. Zuo, before
Yes.
I go to William, so you physically take your cash and give it to Lone Star so that they can put that money on your phone?
Automatically, you give your cash to Lone Star and they put the money on the phone. You don't need to hold the cash anymore.
Right. So how do you give it? You physically go to Lone Star office and deposit the money as you are depositing in your bank?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And what they have done now, they have mobile money agents. One thing that they in fact, there's one thing that I want to indicate for this. The central bank reported that they have 1,636 mobile money agents across the country now. So you don't necessarily have to go to Lone Star office itself, but they have mobile money agents anywhere. You just see the booths anywhere. You just walk there, and you're supposed to send money in Maryland, in Monrovia. You sit down in Monrovia. You don't have to wait for someone to go to Maryland. So you just walk to the agent and give 1,005. The guy transfer the money. The guy in Maryland receive it. Another agent in Maryland just withdraw the money and give it to you, and which is more easier. But what I see more important here is to see how best to do payment. Purchases with the mobile money, where customers will be willing to say, you know what, I'm selling my cassava leaf or this and that for $10. You don't necessarily have to give me the $10. This is the digitization aspect we're talking about. Like you just say, okay, what's your mobile number? My mobile number is this. I just transfer the money there. That is a reduce the transaction cost. It actually gave confidence to the people, and that's what we need to now start implementing.
You're muted, William.
Thank you very much, Dehpue. I mean, this thing sounds smooth, like some nice, good milkshake, but we know that there's some good challenges here. So I want to share my screen with something, and then I want Dr. Bernard to look at this and comment on it and see if there's a challenge with this. So if I can share my screen right now, I'm going to share it. So right now, what I have in front of everyone is just the cost for 1 gigabyte. 1 gigabyte of internet service. So at the and this is just for sub-Saharan Africa. So Rwanda is the lowest. Now in 2000 and I think 2012 or 2010, around that time, there was a huge push by the folks in Rwanda to digitize, to go into the digitization era. So maybe their cost is a little bit low. And as we go down, as we see, we have Liberia. Now, Liberia is $3.75. That's how much it costs for 1 gigabyte. And as we go down and more, you see different prices. Some places are $10, $11. So Dr. Bernard, what I want to ask you is, is the internet, tell us about the internet in Liberia. Is the internet ready? Is it affordable? Is it something that folks can take advantage of right now to get into the mobile payment? Because I see this marriage of telecommunication and banking system, and it's very scary because now you also have the major fintech companies, maybe Google getting into this, Apple, all of them getting into this, and it's very scary for banks because these are customers. But tell us, before we get into that part, tell us a little bit about the internet, and is it practical? What is available on the ground in terms of infrastructure? Is this reliable? And you mute, so you have to unmute.
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. To answer your question, William, internet in Liberia, historically has been mostly relying on satellite communications, which is whenever it rains in Liberia during the rainy season, the internet connection as well as the cell phone connection would degrade significantly. So calls will get dropped because of these weather conditions. But all that changed in 2013 with the event of the H fiber optic cable coming from the sea along the sea coast of Africa and into Liberia. Now, Liberia subscribed to this undersea fiber cable, and it allows us to attain a capacity of 100 gigabit pipeline into the internet. Whereas before we had about maybe a half a gigabit internet entirely, and it was mostly by satellite, which is not really reliable whenever the weather is bad. So since 2013, Liberia has had a very reasonable or significant jump in our internet infrastructure as far as the increase in the internet bandwidth that's available for mobile money transactions, for cellular transactions. And I want to remind the viewers as well as the panel that all of our internet connection, all of our cell phone calls currently are going through this single internet pipe that this undersea fiber cable that came in 2013. So we're very dependent on this internet cable. Now, when the cable itself, the only way we were able to get into Liberia was by establishing a consortium. And a consortium, what it means is a group of businesses that agreed to participate in a specific initiative. Now, this consortium right now is made of, it's called CCL, Cable Consortium of Liberia. And this consortium owns this 100 gigabit internet fiber optic line that's coming into the country. Is actually entering right there through Sugar Beach in somewhere in downtown Monrovia. So that's where the cable enters from in the ocean right into the country. And from there, it's being sent all the way to the telco headquarters right off of Broad Street. So our entire communication infrastructure, as far as for international communications, is dependent on this fiber optic cable. Now, as far as locally, every carrier, if you drive around Monrovia or even in the interior, you will see these antennas, these satellite antennas all over the place. And now those antennas, what they do is they allow you to make calls locally within the country. And so they control the local infrastructure. So if you make a call from Monrovia to Buchanan, your call will go to one antenna first, or the local antenna that's closest to you. And then from there, it would jump to the next antenna, all by air. So we currently have the infrastructure to support the internet. The problem is that this 100 gigabit pipeline that we have, Lone Star owns about 10% capacity of it, and Lone Star uses that for all of their cellular calls, for all of their internet connections, et cetera, that they sell to their customers. Orange owns about 10% of that. So if 10% of 100 gig is 10 gigs. So Lone Star has a 10 gig pipe that they use for all of their their telecommunications support. Orange has the same pipeline, and Telco has about a 15 or 20, I'm sorry, 25% pipeline. So all in all, if you do the math, we're currently using only half of our available capacity in terms of internet in Liberia. The remaining 50 or 55% of that 100 meg pipe is not even being used. And the reason is because there's no demand for it right now within the country because of economic reasons, because of the infrastructure is not within the country itself doesn't support the need for a full 100 gigabit capacity.
Let me get more clarity
Sorry,
on
go
that.
ahead.
You say we're using just like 50%. Does that mean
Yes.
Our speed will be high because just less people using it, or how does that translate into the quality of calls and connection?
That's a very good question. The quality of calls and connections in Liberia has actually gotten significantly better since the fiber optic came in. And the reason is because if you're making an international call or you're browsing the internet, which is hosted internationally, not in Liberia, it's very reliable. You don't get any sort of outage or anything. But if you're calling someone, say in Yekepa or in Vonjama or even in Ganta to your cellular phone, it still has to go through the airwaves and not through the international pipe. So the quality of your local call, a local calling within Liberia right now it's not as good as the quality of international communications, mainly because of this 1 gig pipe. And there's a plan in place to improve that by building a national fiber optic backbone within Liberia that runs from the Guinea border all the way to Harper, Maryland. It runs from Bull, the Bull town near in Kidmont County, all the way to Zwedru, and to carry that to make internet access within Liberia much more in cell phone calling within Liberia much more reliable, as well as to expand internet access to rural areas. So if you have a school in Ganta that needs internet access right now, it's very expensive for Lone Star and Orange to provide internet connectivity in those areas because they have to use the airwaves to do that. Whereas when they build this national backbone, it will be a whole lot more faster as well as more reliable. So that's sort of the challenges we're facing in Liberia right now. We don't have an internal infrastructure for internet, but we do have a very good pipeline to access internet internationally.
So with that low demand, and Dehpue or William, you can join in. How is that this whole mobile payment system? Because we're using just 50%, meaning not many people demand for internet service or even have phone lines. So how does that present a challenge for the mobile payment system we're talking about? There's not going to be that much demand for it.
Well,
thank you. I'm glad that Dr. Bernard know more about this information as I do, but I like the way he, because the backbone issue is something that for me, I think when I was in government was a major concern to me, because realistically, you cannot pay over $250 million to have the ACE cable laying down, and utilization is very much low. So the best thing to do is to see how best the private operators can have access and see how best when they go into investment and the expansion, they can be able to extend beyond. But the government has its own responsibility to make sure that the backbone become a national project and under the universal access program, so that the people in the rural area everywhere can have access to that. Now, in terms of investment decisions, the cost of the backbone installation is very high, infrastructure is very high, and any private investor will be looking at the return on the investment. How many users are there? And that's the major concern. So one thing that in my mind, if we want to ensure that the digital economy become functional, we want to make sure we have access that we should not only be looking at the market as a country, we should not be looking at the market in Liberia. We need to be looking at the market in the sub-region. Since we have the access, we can now link to Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Cote d'Ivoire, and make sure that these people utilize it, because people who are in the rural part of these countries are also lacking access to our digital connection. So Liberian government need to see how best to actually foster that discussion. It's something for me I felt it was very much important. But again, we can always find a shortcut to many of the things. That's why they brought another Morovia. Now you have the Google project that came and have now taken over instead of using the backbone in Morovia. We have to invest in it as a country. No one is going to go into that area as a private investor when they don't see the return very high. It's almost the same thing we talked about electricity the last time. So government need to take the opportunity and invest into that. Now, in terms of your question, you talk about how can the mobile usage of the mobile money, as long as people have access to internet connectivity, they will be in a position to do transaction. And the more customers that these people have, the more opportunity they have to actually to expand their business. This is where one of the challenges that we had the last time when the LTA made a decision to now go back to status quo to ensure that the operators pay the taxes and make sure that they are going by the international fee. I said we should be charging more on the voice call and have a cheaper internet access. When they rate on the internet, the digital and voice, we had a very low charges for data. And that of voice, you have more access to internet. And that will also create opportunity for growth of businesses, institutions like academic institutions. You see more advancement in terms of technology. But if you try to bring the voice lower, cheaper on voice and high on data, then you create constraints for productivity in the economy. So it's one thing that the government need to look at and as they make the policy on this whole issue of LTA decision in recent time.
I'm thinking of from the diaspora perspective of remittances. I don't know if that's possible or if that's something that can be done so that instead of going through Western Union, I can send $50 to my brother through mobile money. Is that something that can be explored? Is it doable, feasible?
I would let some of the other guys talk because my head is just hot and just burning. For example, Wave is a money transfer app that is linked to the M-Pesa system, and the M-Pesa is linked to the telecommunication company Safari.com, and Safari.com has been granted that financial ability now to facilitate those type of transactions. And also M-Pesa has been accepted as a form of exchange on Alibaba. So people can pay using their M-Pesa system. How is it that, I mean, once again, the frustration lies in the idea that our government is more than just the regulator and remover of barriers. And it's so frustrating because in the private world, folks might jump at the opportunity. The $250 million, is this something that can just be outsourced to a private company? I'm sure private companies may have knocked on the door in Liberia and say, hey, we want to build this backbone for a certain return. Or even the diaspora, if we're given a chance to invest in some way into building this infrastructure, there's some huge advantages as we see. Now, I don't think that the rural person in India, the rural person that is in India, the rural person that is in some of these Asian countries with limited knowledge of technology have adapted money payment system. So we shouldn't think or take it for granted that these people are smarter than Liberians in the rural area. Even in Kenya, all the way in the rural areas, they don't have a bank account, but they all know how to use the M-Pesa system. So for us, what's the holdup? Anybody, Lionel, what's the with that price? I mean, has anyone tried to get something going with that?
Yes, William, absolutely. The question from Mr. Jai was, is it possible to have people send remittances from the diaspora to Liberia, and instead of having to go to Western Union or MoneyGram to pick up your money, at which time you're going to be given only 25% in Liberian dollars and 75% in the foreign currency or US dollars. Is it feasible to have your money sent directly from overseas into your mobile money account? Absolutely, yes. To that question. First, I will talk a bit about how this is being done in other countries in Africa that have adopted mobile money much more significantly than Liberia. Tommy mentioned M-Pesa. Currently, M-Pesa has a partnership with Western Union, whereby you can send money through Western Union directly to M-Pesa and M-Pesa e-wallet. And so your money will go from wherever you send it from to Western Union, and it will arrive directly into the account of an M-Pesa person, either in Kenya or any one of the East African countries like South Africa and Tanzania that also use M-Pesa. So that is definitely feasible. Now the question is, can that be done in Liberia? And this would be a significant improvement in how remittances are delivered and sent and received. Currently, we've got two mobile money carriers in the country. As I said earlier, Lone Star and Lone Star and Orange. Neither one of them has the ability to have remittances sent by MoneyGram or Western Union directly into your mobile money wallet as a virtual currency. There's a third mobile money company that should be operational likely within the next 6 months. A lot of people don't know about them yet. They're called WlePay. How you pronounce it is WLEPAY. I happen to be a part of this company, full disclosure, and that company is exploring the possibility of having remittances sent.
Wlee is money, right?
Yes, Wlee is Bassa word, Kru word. Most of the coastal dialects in Liberia use the word Wlee for money. So this company is called WlePay, and is a Liberian-owned and mobile money venture that should be starting up within the next 6 months. But in order for Lone Star and Orange to allow remittances directly to mobile money, they can't do it on their own. They'll have to partner with one of the licensed mobile money carriers. The licensed international remittance companies such as MoneyGram, which is the only remittance company operating in Liberia right now. Western Union stopped operations about 2 years ago for various reasons, but they're planning on coming back, but they currently aren't operating. But again, just to summarize, it is possible to do this. It's being done in other countries, and I project that within the next year, Liberians will be able to send money directly to their families and friends in Liberia as far as their mobile money wallet. Now, one thing to mention is that there's a company called Noble that's doing something sort of similar, but not entirely, whereas you can go to the website Noble Liberia and send money, but the money will go directly to someone's bank account and not to their mobile money account. So again, they have to go to the bank, stand in line, as Mr. Zul said, and collect the money, which is very inconvenient. Noble also allows you to purchase a variety of goods and products online, staple goods like rice and palm oil through their website here in the diaspora, and have them pick it up from Noble or have it delivered to them directly in Liberia. I'm not sure if they do delivery, but I understand that may be something that's in their radar. So that's where we are as far as mobile money in Liberia. Most of the mobile money transactions can only be done locally. If you have a mobile money account, you have to go to an agent to cash. It's called cash. It's called top up. Just like you would top up your cell phone, you have to go to an agent, give the agent your physical currency, and the agent would convert that and transfer virtual currency in the same amount to your mobile phone, and then you have the mobile balance in your account of virtual currency.
Thank you. Let me read some comments from Facebook. I think most of you mentioned M-Pesa a bit. Maurice David said, I lived in Nairobi, Kenya for 3 years and saw effective their mobile money system called M-Pesa was. I used it to pay for almost everything. All these people need is to ensure everyone register with a valid ID. as well as enabling the networks to transfer between themselves. And so that's an example. You mentioned PSAT already. I know this is done in other places. So William, give us some of those examples. I know India, China, Nigeria, Kenya. Let's walk through some of those things that we can learn from our neighbors and other people.
Well, one of the thing, and you know, there was a couple of questions, Dennis, that I think while I'm watching this live feed that I think is kind of important. Maybe Lionel, you can kind of address. One of them is from Sullivan. So Sullivan is saying that we have to develop the platform. It's not there all the way. And then someone else mentioned about security, about how secure is this mobile system. So I want us to talk about that first, because I think in Liberia, I think for the folks, they want to know more about this. Is it really secure?
Yeah, I'll as far as the security part, you're absolutely right. Financial services in general is all about trust, and the customer is entrusting whoever the provider is or the operator is with their hardcore, hard-earned physical currency, which is being transferred into virtual currency. Now, the issue of fraud is a big issue in the mobile money sector. For example, in East Africa, there's this fraud scheme where some perpetrator would call and say you won a prize. In order to receive this prize, you have to send a certain amount of mobile currency to my account. There's an insider fraud where employees within the mobile money company may gain unauthorized access to a mobile money person's account and transfer money out of it. There's a fraud where someone can steal your phone and hence they'll gain access to your mobile money account. So, on an average year, a lot of these mobile money companies, especially in East Africa, they're losing access of $10, $20 million a year on fraud. So it's a big issue for them. Security is a really, really big issue. There are companies that specialize in strengthening the security posture of mobile money companies specifically. And, they're being hired by a lot of companies in East Africa now. Now, this problem of security is not really apparent in Liberia. Liberia at this time is mainly because our uses of mobile money is so marginal, but that's gonna change overnight, in my opinion. In the next 5 years, we currently have about 400,000 mobile money accounts in Liberia. That's gonna grow to several million, and hence the opportunity for fraud is gonna increase significantly. So the responsibility is gonna be on these mobile money operators like Lone Star, Orange, as well as the incumbent Dehpue, new entrant Dehpue, to make sure that their mobile money systems are very secure. The government has a lot of compliance requirements for mobile money operators, and meaning there are two agencies that regulate mobile money in Liberia. The first of them is Central Bank, as we mentioned earlier. The second is a very small and not well-known government entity in Liberia. It's called the Financial Intelligence Unit. Yes, FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit. Thank you, Mrs. Zuo. And those two companies, they try to ensure certain things. One is know your customers, called KIY, and know your customers. The fraud security primarily starts with identifying the person that has the account to make sure that the person is who they are, because there's also a tendency in mobile money for international money laundering. Mobile money is very susceptible to money laundering from an international perspective. So you have these actors that open accounts with using fictitious information, and they're able to use those accounts to engage in money laundering as well as fraudulent activities. So one of the things that the Central Bank of Liberia, as well as FIU, has required of mobile money operators is that before you open a mobile money account in Liberia, you have to provide a government issued ID. Now, they've made provisions based on the UN and World Bank requirements that if you live in a very rural area, for example, you live in a village, you don't have an ID, you don't have a passport, you never travel, you really never need it. You have the ability to open an account, but they've established limits on how much funds you can have in your account and how many transactions you can actually engage in. So central bank has 3 tiers of accounts, one called L1, the other called L2, the third one called L3. Now, L1 account, if you open that account in Liberia, if you live in a village, say for example, you live in Bullwater, or you live in not Yekepa, you live in some Buchanan or somewhere, and you don't have identification, you still can open a mobile money account, but they have to take your picture. They have to, I think there's an option to do a voice print of voice as well, where you identify yourself
the township,
through the video.
Township was going to bring you and say, this is the person.
Yes, you can also be vouched for by someone else that lives in your area, like the town chief or some other elder living in the village.
Remember, Dr. Bernard, Liberia is, I think, placed on a ban from because of this same money laundering. I don't know how, to what extent that's going to impact or hamper this whole transaction and mobile money payment system, especially doing it from abroad.
I'm sorry, you said, like, what was your question?
No, I said Liberia is on a ban, right? For because of money laundering.
Yes, I think we have a warning, and we are on the ready towards a red light towards the yellow. We are not yellow, and we're heading towards red. But one thing that Dr. Bernard said correctly, when it comes to the internet security, is very much important, and we cannot actually rule out the possibility of hacking and other things from the system, which is good. In terms of the financial services, the Financial Intelligence Unit is there, and the laws are on the books right now. What is very much important is for the government to ensure that the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter Financing of Terrorism Act, the AML CFT, is actually enforced, that people abide by that, because it's a way of controlling cash from one entity or one institution to another, and they can follow on the cash flow. Liberia can now enforce that. And I think quite recently, the Orange and the FIU has similar engagement like that on some transaction. If you see some dubious transaction or some withdrawal or deposits that you want to know the source, it's always good for that aspect of the terrorist financing component of it. But in terms of the digital, in terms of digital arrangement with Liberia, I'm not saying whether there's a link, Mr. Bernard, if I'm right. There's still a link between the e-government program that is still in the pipeline, where we got a chief officer to be appointed, and that itself will help to see, beside the government transaction that is taking place, monetary issue that has to do with payment system in the entire country that can be tracked. And that means we need to have an internet security, cyber security experts to look at that. It's possible that
do you know that for example, when WhatsApp and Facebook, those guys want to roll out their payment system in India, one of the things India said was, that data that you're mining, that you're gathering, that data cannot leave India. It has to be through our central processing place in India, because data is very important, and that is something that they had to go through compliance with. So yes, those things, I think they are important. And from what I'm hearing, yes, we need to be cautious about this. But nothing stops us from improving the quality of life of our people by introducing a mobile system. Now, let's talk about dollars. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about where the rubber hits the road. These fees, the cost. If you look at Liberia and you transact, to use M-Pesa, there's a fee. To use all of these, there is a little fee. It may be 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents. I mean, that's a source of revenue that could be captured that could be used to help pay for the broadband infrastructure. Because right now, as it stands, I'm not sure where it is. Are we continue to build that infrastructure, or is it on hold until we get NGO money, or is this something that's continued to be built with the private sector?
It has to be done with the private sector. It's not NGO money, or it has to be financing from government in terms of loan. Realistically, it's not a small investment. The backbone project is not a small investment that you expect NGO or donor partner to just give you funding for that. But
just a comment about that. The backbone, Mr. Zul asked earlier regarding a CIO role. I think this is something that's being considered by the current government in terms of how is it going to impact the mobile money as well as the telecom sector in Liberia. I think it's going to create a little bit more synergy between the regulatory agencies in Liberia. For example, LTA regulates telecom, central bank regulates financial services. So right now we're in a situation where financial services are going digital from a physical service to a digital service. Instead of going to a physical bank, your phone is becoming your bank. So, what does that mean in terms of having these two agencies work together and having common policies, related common enforcement, et cetera. So, I think that the CIO role that they're envisioning to have oversight over all things telecom, all things digital, and create some synergy between these two regulatory agencies, or three, including FIU, is going to be very important, because right now these agencies are not obligated to talk to each other. You see, if you're a bank in Liberia, you're considering entering the mobile money space, or if you're a telecom operator, you've got two different regulators that are knocking on your door right now, and they may have conflicting policies that could impact your business operations. So so I think the CIO will be able to work with the customers, the who use mobile money in terms of addressing their issues, work with the regulators, and work with the Liberian government, so that the industry is run efficiently and securely. The other question regarding the infrastructure, you're absolutely right, Mr. Zwol. Whether or not this is paid for by the private sector or public sector is something that's being talked about quite a bit right now. But the infrastructure is needed. We're in the information age right now, and what that means is that everything is moving to technology, to computers, to telecommunications. Even education right now is moving towards telecommunications. As I said earlier, when I doing this panel, when we got mobile phones in 2013, the number of mobile phone users exploded significantly. Now everybody in the country was able to go out and buy a phone and able to communicate, whereas before you had to wait for months and years just to get a phone installed, a landline phone installed in your house. You don't have to do that anymore. The same thing is becoming apparent with mobile payment, whereas before, you have to walk for miles or take car to come to Marua or one of the big cities to get access to a bank. Now, with mobile money, your phone is your bank. So a lot more people are gonna jump on this, this resource, and we're gonna see explosive growth. Now, how do we manage this growth in terms of policy, in terms of security, in terms of infrastructure? It's gonna be very important going forward. And so that's what the government is mulling over, because if everybody has a cell phone, everybody is making phone calls, everybody's on the internet, everybody's using it for banking, to pay, and the government also has an incentive to improve the infrastructure. But the fact is that Liberia is in our economic peril right now. Our growth, projected GDP used to be, in the 5-6% range. Now it's less than 1% annually. The inflation rate is increasing significantly, which is causing price increases, as well as we're moving towards a recession. Remittances are dropping. So mobile money is going to answer some of those questions. as far as improving economically, it's been proving that mobile money adoption, for example, in Kenya, over 200 million people got out of poverty once M-Pesa came along, because money was able to move around much more fluidly between the people who are working in the city and the interior. So as far as poor implications, mobile money is going to improve reduce the poverty rate a bit, maybe 1 or 2% in Liberia. It's going to increase our GDP from the fraction that it is, so maybe 1 or 2%. But for that to happen, we got to improve the infrastructure. We got to have someone who's a champion for all things digital in the country. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
I mean,
Let me go to our viewers. They are asking questions because I have to have a lot of questions. And when you were talking to Dr. Bernard, I was just asking how can mobile money do all this and lift people off poverty? But let me go to Facebook. Samuel Lomax is asking, how involved are the cloud-based system? What you think about that? Sullivan Doba says, currently we have huge demand for the internet like electricity, but we have to develop the platform and encourage everyone to connect where they can afford to pay the minimum of $20 monthly like electricity.
Okay. You want to comment on that?
No, go ahead, Dehpue.
I think that there's the issue of the cloud issue. Dr. Bernard will come in as his area, but I think one of the opportunities that there's a project that's ongoing, the C-Square. I think you should know about it in Monrovia, C-Square. And one of the challenges, which myself, I was looking at the short-term return on that investment and say, yes, it's a good opportunity for us, but it also undermine the backbone project. If anyone wants to invest into it and say that Monrovia has a high consumption of the services, and there's a most area that is more industrialized and is being overtaken by one company, but why should I go to do a installation in a rural area when I know I have less population and my return will be less on the investment? So that's one side of the issue right now in Liberia in terms of policy decision and investment decision that were made by the past government and which the current government need to also review. But now, that is a good opportunity. But how do we really tap into the question on movement of cash from one point to another? Mr. Jai, realistically, Liberia is still to remain a cash economy is one of the constraints to growth. Let me say so. A major constraint to growth. If I'm to pay for, let's say, a business owner who lives in Maryland County, it costs $5,000 Liberian dollars to go to Maryland, and besides that, it takes you sometimes approximately a day or two to reach to Maryland. If I'm to pay for goods in Maryland just for mobile money, and the transaction is there from Cote d'Ivoire to Harper, it's done in less than 15 minutes. That means just make a telephone call and let the person, there's a transfer coming, and that bring about growth efficiency level in the economy. And someone can also pay for services, and that will be transported. That has to do with communication, logistics, and everything, and that bring about the growth we're talking about. So that will be my response to the question so far.
Well, just to answer the viewer's question regarding cloud, I'm assuming he was asking about cloud. What role does cloud play in all of this? Is that the case, Mr. Jia? Was that the question?
Yes.
The cloud is what the cloud is. If you've heard of the idea of data centers, these are big, huge. They look like Walmart shopping centers that are stacked with computer equipment. And it's the way it works is that if you're a business or a person, you need computing capacity, and you rent this capacity from these cloud providers, and you don't own it, you rent it, you use it as you need it, and you pay per hour or per minute in some cases, and so it's pay as you go. It's like renting a car. Now, what does the cloud mean for Liberia? The cloud is available in Liberia. If you're a business in Liberia and you have internet, you're required to have internet connectivity to access these cloud resources. If you're a business in Liberia you need a system to pay for, to say, for example, a payroll system. Instead of having to buy one, you can rent one online. It's called software as a service. If you need an email system, you can rent one online. For example, with Microsoft Office 365, you pay about $3 or $4 per person, and all your employees will have access to email. So the cloud is available in Liberia. Now, if the question is related to can we bring the cloud to Liberia, there are quite a few barriers to that. One is that Liberia doesn't have a reliable source of electricity. Being a cloud operator, we don't have any cloud operators currently in Liberia. Requires that you establish a data center that also requires a large amount of reliable electricity as well as backup electricity to run cooling systems, to run the actual equipment. So, a lot of government agencies right now, I'm assuming do need cloud services, but it's something that's not really feasible in terms of return on investment for the cell phone companies, as well as other companies that may want to be involved in establishing a data center or cloud service in Liberia. But the alternative is that you can go to international cloud providers such as Amazon and Microsoft and Oracle and quite a few other them, and use their cloud services directly from Liberia.
But you can also go to our neighbors, right? Because Ghana, Sierra Leone, maybe they have some cloud computing that we can take advantage of. You think? Yes,
you can. I'm not very familiar with what cloud resources are available in Ghana or Nigeria, but I'm assuming that most of the cloud services are for the local people. There's also an issue of trust in terms of cloud because you're renting and you're putting private information on computers that are not owned by you, by these third-party individuals or entities. So it becomes important that whoever cloud provider that you leverage, if you vet them out or do some due diligence to ensure that they're secure, they're reliable. And also, is your data, if there's an issue with payment or such, will you get your data back? Do they have backup capacity? Do they allow you to continue operating in the event that you go down as a business and your employees need access to your information in their cloud? So if you're going to be doing some West African cloud, subscribing to a West African cloud vendor, you definitely want to make sure that they're reliable and they have the right controls in place to protect your data and secure it.
Of course.
Okay, Mr. John, let me just come in with this comment. Maybe I would like to hear from Bernard on this issue. The mobile money payment system is kind of utilization is very high now. But now the question there is that in terms of commercial stores and bank transaction, how do we really initiate a terminal port system to connect banks payment directly? You go to supermarket, you have a EcoBank card, and you don't have a payment system connected at all so that you can just purchase without holding cash or go to the bank. And this is where I think that is very much important. In as much as we're talking about mobile payment system, we also need to see the banking system. How do we really connect that? Because that's another way of easing transaction, also growing the economy.
That's true.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Zuo. Currently, the way mobile money works in Liberia, if you need to add cash to your mobile money account, you go to an agent, as I said earlier, you give the agent, $100 LD or US, and they will deposit that into your virtual mobile money account, be it Lone Star or Orange account, or later on WePay account. So, topping up your mobile money account is very inconvenient because you have to physically go to find an agent. And I was in Liberia in March this year, and one of the biggest complaints from mobile money customers is that they can't find agents that have anywhere. They're unable to locate agents, late at night because some agents may leave early to go home. They may not be accessible after a certain time of the day. Also, if you want to cash out, for example, you want to take money from your mobile money account and convert it into physical cash, that's an issue as well currently in Liberia, because again, some agents may not have enough cash to give you in exchange for the virtual currency that you want to cash out for. So these are some of the issues that can be, can be remedied pretty easily if you can connect your mobile money account directly to a bank account. Where, for example, if someone uses the Noble system currently operating in Liberia to transfer money to you to your bank account, you can transfer it directly to your e-wallet, to your mobile money account, to the system itself. And so in economics, there's this concept called supply chain, where you have if you're creating a product, all of the different vendors and individuals that partake in refining this product until it comes to the final customer. Now, there's something missing in the supply chain, and one of it is what Mrs. Zul mentioned as far as being able to ingest money into your mobile money account. This is very convenient. The other part is if you want to make a payment to a merchant, say for example, you have mobile money, you have money in your account, you have $100 in your LD or US in your account, and you go to the market to purchase something. Right now, most market retailers in Liberia don't accept mobile money. So that's where the supply chain becomes a barrier there, or has a barrier, is that the acceptance rate is very low. So that's something that needs to be improved as well, as far as the merchants accepting mobile money as a form of payment. The government is working towards that, and I think it's going to improve the economy overall, because it's going to contribute to economic improvement, because if more merchants are accepting mobile payment and it's easy for you to transfer funds from your bank account, money starts to circulate a lot more, and merchants get paid a lot quicker and more efficiently. It might even encourage customers to buy more things instead of waiting to get physical cash. Also, money becomes much more secure, and as far as not having to walk around with all this money in your hand and be susceptible to theft or robbery. Right. So the mobile money, it's going to increase significantly over the next 5 years as far as the number of people using it. That's my opinion. But a lot of these barriers are still in place, and hopefully they can be resolved in the next few years as adoption increases and more people start using it for transactions as well as for paying bills, and as their bank account basically.
And gentlemen, one question that is consistent coming to us from our viewers from almost all the shows that we've had is the system in Liberia. People talk about the political system, the legal system, the court system, and all these things, which they see as barrier. Some even take it a step further, that they want a little more stable system where the rule of law and all these things to be near 90% of for these things to work. What is your response to that, we need a better system, better legal system, everything to the optimum before we can have mobile money and all the other investment and all the other things that we've consistently been talked about?
I think for me, you can now wait till you have every system in place effectively before you start this. These are the reasons why you need to. In fact, I was reading the Central Bank Financial Inclusion Report, and you look at it realistically, what they have indicated is that when in fact access to bank account in 2011, you see that the population about only 19% had access to bank account to actually have an account. Up to 2017, you had 36%. So it means that bank access to banking, mainstream banking, is have been very slow at a very slow pace. So you want to see that what are some of the alternatives, which is more like a mobile money, and you see that the access to mobile money, growth is faster than that of what mainland banking. So we don't have to wait until you have all of the legal framework in place. But what is going to be happening is as you do the payment system, have the right policy in place, good monitoring mechanism in place, good reporting system in place, gradually you can improve it. So, but you cannot wait until you have everything in place before you agree to say, okay, now we can have it. But now the issue of a government in terms of accountability and trust is one thing that I usually encourage, officials of government and policymakers, that we need to be more transparent in our dealing with people, and trust building begins with officials. So If the Liberians don't have confidence in the system, it becomes a problem. Equally so, the citizens themselves should learn to trust each other in the sense that the good business is mainly about trust. If you want to do, we become more cautious of the risks than that of some of the opportunity that we'll gain from there. Why can't you go into mobile money, become a mobile money agent? And I think this question came from one of our colleagues. Just the transfer charges that is being charged per transfer from your mobile money operators, 50 cents, $100 on every transfer. It's an income from any agent. It's a source of income. It's a great job, a great opportunity. So, but when we wait until we have the law written enforcement and everything in place before we start, I don't think we're going to go right now. That's what I think. But I'm not opposing the issue of accountability and transparency and the issue of corruption. But the electronic system can also expose that. If you transfer the money and mobile money today, the recipient telephone number and the name will appear. And that's the best way to do it. And once the recipient and the telephone number appear and someone denied, I know the money didn't go to me, the electronic system, they just go to the mobile carrier and they'll go and check it. Yes, you received this amount. Those are some of the ways to cut down corruption. If you say you want to be doing payment of salary and government is paying people's salary directly to them, there's no middleman who will be taking, like you have the LPA who will be taking 10%, 20%, but the guy received the money direct. So he can do transaction. It brings about efficiency level in the economy. I think it's better. It's a good thing that we have to do.
Payroll may go down. Question from Boy Smith. What are the legal implications attached to this system you guys want to put in place for this mobile account? This is about people money, guys.
I just answered that. The legal system in place there is that before you actually have the mobile transfer, you must have a mobile number and that is associated with you because you score the mobile number, and before they confirm transfer, you will give the person telephone number and you call the person name, and the name appears confirmed by the mobile transfer operator. The agent will say, yes, this is the number before they press it and say transfer. And you, the one who transferring the money, you already confirm it. It's a legal transaction. You receive a copy, an SMS message, there's a message that will come to you that this amount has been deducted from your account. And the recipient will also receive, you have received this amount. So that's a legal instrument right there. It's not going to be, it's a documentation, can be printed, it can be admitted to court and say, yeah, this transaction took place.
I have one last question before you guys come in. That's last from me. It's about, and Mr. Zuo, you work in the educational system, because before you put anything into place, our curriculum too have to be in sync with that. Okay, so with this mobile money, do you think our curriculum is going to include that? All the different things that need to be involved, from e-commerce or whatever. How is our curriculum going to kind of be on par with that to help or prepare people to move into that area more quicker?
Yes, I think one good thing that most of the schools now in Liberia, they are now introducing RCT program. And you also have an RCT company in Liberia, and most of the high school also introducing computer literacy program. So as people do this, they are learning, and it's also an opportunity for growth. And it's also important that as we move towards the digital economy, the training institutions should be in the position to provide opportunity training in that area that people will understand and specialize in it. And they can also take advantage of it. And I also told some of my colleagues the last time, the online education system is the best way nowadays. If you cannot have it, a certain specialized course cannot be handled by any expert in Liberia, you can source that overseas and one person just teach it, and without necessarily coming to Liberia, you do a crash course and people come and go through that and the material be given. So these are some of the things that we need to introduce in the education system. In addition to that, you realize that most of the tuition payments in Liberia now are paid through banking system. So people are not going to be standing online. You can wire the money. You don't have to go on school campus and registrar, go and write your name, get your receipt. You go into the bank and pay and bring and payment slip to what? The registrar. Those are some of the way of using the electronic system in Liberia right now.
William?
Yeah, this is definitely great. Just brings a smile to my face. I mean, all the opportunities, they're kind of limitless with what we can do with a mobile payment system. Something that kind of stands to mind is, how supportive is our government with something like this. And when I say that, basically, from everything that I'm hearing, there's a lot of, we didn't get into the dollars and cents, but I believe that every transaction with mobile payment, someone makes a little money. What is 10 cents, 20 cents, or 30 cents? That's one piece. It stands very clearly to say that there are a lot of stakeholders and a lot of folks who would benefit from something like this. And if what is stopping us for Liberia is one of the things I look at is our internet broadband connection. That's something that needs to be addressed. And that in other countries, very reputable, professional, high net worth companies. Safaricom is owned by Vodafone, a huge, there's a MTN. They're in Liberia. So some of these companies, there's a lot of capital available, maybe, for us to build this out because the benefits are just huge. And so we shouldn't wait on saying that, well, we're only 4.5 million people. We have an economic situation. I mean, this is, if anything, this is the perfect time for us to shore up our internet system. This is the perfect time for us to jump into this space. So I think we need to continue to explore and engage our government without any prejudice. And because we realize that to success, something like this, if Liberia succeeds, we all succeed. And there's a guy, I want to bring this up. Thomas was not able to join us, but I just want to summarize some of these advantages because he did a lot of work. And so advantages of mobile money: it makes banking faster and safer. It connects family and friends all over the world. Reduce contact with officials, reduce potential for corruption. It helps solving problems after natural humanitarian disasters and catastrophes. Once someone accesses basic mobile payment services, they're likely to access a wider range of life-improving services. Number 4, it offers a safety net. 7, it helps a business. 8 is good for the economy. And mobile money can help close the gender gap. That's important because in agriculture, a lot of the market sellers are predominantly females. And if there's a way to introducing something like this, it helps with data, it helps facilitate payments, and it helps put food on the table. So that's from Thomas. So just want to share that. I'll give it back to you, Dennis. We're going to be wrapping up, but let some of the other panelists give a closing remarks.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, if you just joining us, this is again Focus on Liberia. We are discussing mobile payment system in our Business and Economic Forum. Our Business and Economic Forum comes to you every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on Focus on Liberia. Gentlemen, we are going to end this thing, so I would like your closing comments. Let me start with our first-time guest, Dr. Lionel Bernard.
Thank you, Mr. Ja. Now, one thing to realize is that mobile money is here to stay. East Africa, where all of this started, which is, considered the cradle of civilization, where man started, actually conceived the idea of mobile money, and now it's spreading throughout the world. But Africa, Liberia stands at the forefront of this growth. As I said earlier, 45% of all the mobile money accounts in the entire world are held in sub-Saharan Africa. Currently, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Senegal, at least 40% of their their citizens use mobile money on a daily basis. Liberia, we're currently only using about 7%, only about 70% of our cell phone users actually use mobile money. But that is but that is about to change significantly in the coming years, mainly because of our economic situation in Liberia. The same thing happened in Zimbabwe because the currency was devaluing so rapidly. The switch to mobile money as a standard, and Liberia is heading down that same path. Now the question was raised, the topic was raised earlier related to education and how can that relate to mobile money. Mr. Zul answered that quite eloquently. I'm going to add to what he said. But my comment on that is that I think a lot of the innovation that takes place around the world as far as technology comes from students and entrepreneurs and innovators who are technically savvy. And in order to encourage that kind of atmosphere amongst the young people, aspiring entrepreneurs, is to create an environment that fosters STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we need that in Liberia. A lot of people don't know that. What a lot of people know is that M-Pesa was started by one single engineer with an idea that, hey, can we take this text messaging system and convert it into a mobile money system? It was a hack. Essentially, they hacked the texting platform called USSD, and which was designed for sending text messages between the cell phone companies and the phone, and they hacked that and turned it into a mobile money platform that we know today as M-Pesa. I mean, that was an engineer who was educated in Kenya and, had a creative idea, and he was encouraged to try it out and then move forward with it. So, and that sort of translates into my next point, is that besides having a good science, technology, engineering, and math educational system in the country, we also have to have a system that allows people to try and fail. All right, a lot of innovation comes from trying and failing. That's one of Google's primary tenet, that they encourage all the employees to try new things and fail. The idea of Gmail came about from trial and error. The idea of even the Google search engine came about from trial and error. So besides creating the government funding, more educational programs targeted at STEM, they can also create incubation programs, which is something that's being done in Nigeria, that encourage potential entrepreneurs to come and try new ideas, that have computer programming skills, that have business skills, that have marketing skills, to come into these incubators and be supported by the government or from the private sector to try new ideas. One of the things I proposed in Liberia a while back was having some investment forum where entrepreneurs with new ideas, technology, or otherwise, could come and compete for a prize to get funded to bring their ideas to fruition. So all these things are things that are going to encourage mobile money. And remember, mobile money is just a platform. You can add a lot of things to it. For example, right now in some countries, you can use mobile money to buy insurance. In East Africa, you can use mobile money to get a loan. So instead of going to the bank, you apply directly for a loan through your mobile money application. And these are things that are going on right now. The idea of sports betting in Liberia, it's already there, but that's something that can be added to the mobile money platform. Remember now, once you have money in your phone, you can use it to purchase services and products of a wide variety. So it doesn't have to be just sending money to someone or buying a bag of rice on Camp Johnson Road or in the market, or buying some fufu flour from the store. You can use it for sports betting. You can use it to buy insurance. You can use it to pay a loan. And one of the ideas that you could potentially use it for is susu. I talked to a lady in Liberia when I was there a few months ago, and one of the things she said is that for the susu to work, they have to go around and get physical cash from several people, and one person takes all that cash and puts it in a suitcase and transports it from Lofa to Monrovia, which is a security risk in itself. And it's not feasible to do on a regular basis. So you could take that entire it's a cultural thing of Susu and convert into a mobile money platform where people can pay since their money is already in the system. They can contribute monthly. It can be distributed digitally, all that stuff. So, mobile money is just a platform that can be used to accomplish a lot of financial, improve financial services, as well as improve the lives of Liberians and encourage new and innovative thinkers to come to this sector. So those are my closing remarks. Liberia is definitely on the precipice of exploding as far as mobile money usage and adoption, but it can also encourage new ideas on how new innovative ways of using this platform to improve and the lives of Liberians, as well as our overall country.
Thank you. Mr. Zua?
Yes, I think pretty much we have said much about the importance of the mobile money, and like Bernard was saying, another option that I always feel that is very much important is that, in fact, just the health delivery systems and where people use a mobile money to just pay hospital bill. Even one who is admitted in the hospital, you don't have to go to the bank to do withdrawal. You just do a payment right there, and these things can help fast track, because you don't have an insurance system in the country for health treatment. So people pay cash for treatment. So these are some of the reasons why easy access to cash with the mobile money help in order to improve the system. And besides that, in terms of purchases for the poor people in the rural areas, that you don't have to cover long distances and to go find money. For example, government used to pay teachers' salary, and the rural teachers will have to leave from their assignment and travel to the next city and wait for salary for 2-3 weeks while the students are in the classroom waiting for teachers. They cannot get teachers. So the mobile system kind of reduce it. You receive your paycheck right in your classroom. You don't need to find a way now to go anywhere. So it's actually very much important for us to use it, for the government to use it, for the private sector to use it. And the citizens get used to this. It will build confidence in the system and will experience massive growth in our economy. And lastly, I just want to encourage all diaspora Liberians to see these are some of the opportunities for us to tap into, working on some other system in there and see how best we can do apps, mobile apps that can help market women to do their sales from one city to another without moving, transporting, goods from Monrovia or from rural area to Monrovia. So these are the opportunities there. And those of us who are working on these things, as they mature, we'll be looking out for partners and people to join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before I go to William, the issue of the teachers' pay touched me because where I was born, in a remote part of Sino County, the teachers used to, leave and go to Greenville to get their pay. And guess what? When they get to Greenville, there's no money. So the Lebanese man there, who had a store, if there's no money, he will give you goods. Yes. He was probably helping them because the money is not there. You are in Greenville to get your check. So there's no money. So what else are you going to buy? Salt, soap, toothpaste. And so he convert, whether that was true or not, we still can't tell. But he give you goods and they come back. And guess what? At one point, they told me my father was working with the government. So his pay was, I think, $1.50. So when his nephew, who's a teacher, go for his money, so he's supposed to collect the paper money too. So when money changed hands, what happens? He would take 50 cents. So if you were using mobile money, that guy didn't have to.
Yes, obviously.
Well, he would say, "Uncle, you got $1.50. The government took 50 cents for taxes, and I took 50 cents. So here's your 50 cents." So let me go to you, William, on your party thoughts.
Well, just want to thank all of our viewers on Facebook. You had a lot of questions. We hoped we were able to answer some of them. We know that there were some of them, maybe the answer wasn't as clear as you wanted to. We say, please don't be discouraged. Send us a private email or information, and we'll see if we can get you a more succinct answer. The other thing is just reminding everyone, this topic was, can Liberia leapfrog most of its cash payment issues? if we utilize the mobile payment system. And it was brought to my attention by Mr. Woods that yes, we're not saying there isn't a mobile payment in Liberia. There exists a mobile payment in Liberia. The discussion is around how can we spread it, make it more efficient, make it more effective, and all the opportunities around it. And I want to thank our guest, Dr. Lionel Bernard and Dehpue, for just really speaking to that from a place of experience, and we really appreciate that. And this is a disclaimer. We're not encouraging anyone. We're not telling you to go and invest your money anywhere. We're not licensed financial advisors. So if you planning on doing any of that, please consult with your financial advisor. And lastly, that please, when you leave this, just understand that the opportunities for monetization is available within the internet space. And so investing in the infrastructure, that cost, if we were to tabulate the cost versus the reward, it's a good investment in terms of if the Liberian government was to invest in that infrastructure or anyone else, we think is worth looking into. Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, that's how we're going to end it tonight. I want to say thank you so much for your time. We've been discussing mobile money payment system on the Business and Economic Forum from Focus on Liberia. We are encouraging all our viewers. There's no one restricted to this. We want all of you to take part. If you have something that you want us to talk about, please don't hesitate to talk to me. You can talk to William, you can talk to Dehpue, or you can drop a line to focusonliberiamarketing@gmail.com. And our guest relations manager, Stephanie Setro, is going to give you a call. Thank you so much, guys, for this time. I want to thank all our viewers. Sunday, please join me at 6 p.m. We're going to be discussing with Professor Larry Davis on the role African Americans play in the U.S. And we're going to talk about their value system and how, the role they play even in the world and how they are connected to Liberia. We have to really, really understand African Americans so that we can improve our relationship with African Americans here in the United States. Until then, my name is Dennis Jha. Let's end with this dribble music. Dr. Bernal, come back. If you have a good time, come back.
Yeah. Anytime. I mean, anytime.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bro.